Draft, and his name is Ben McDonald, and he joins us on the Farm Bureau phone line right now. Check out favorites.com and go with the home team, Mississippi Farm Bureau. Ben, always enjoy our visits. How are you, my friend?
Good, RC. How are you doing today, buddy?
I'm great. I want to start off baseball, and then we will get to baseball. I was scrolling through your Twitter feed and noticed that there was a project on your list that your wife had, and it was weed eating around the pond. And for anybody who has ever engaged in that activity, it's messy. Like you're wearing it all over. You're going to hit the water, and it's going to splash up. You end up wet and itchy and everything else. What is your best strategy for weed eating around a body of water?
Get it done as quick as you can, because I fought it as long as I could. I was like, does it really need to be done? I mean, does it really need to be done right now? She said, yes, you're about to get out of town for 3 weeks. You're going up to Baltimore. You need to weed eat the pond. So I put my glasses on because, like you said, it's muddy. It's muddy. It's messy. It's stuff's going up in your eyes. And, of course, I got to wear long pants because you don't want all the debris flying up in your socks and your shin and all that kind of stuff. And you got to put my glasses on to keep the mud out of my eyes. And just get through it as fast as you can. It takes about, I would say, about 45 minutes to an hour to get it done, but just bite it and get it done. That's the only advice I got.
And your back hates you when it's over, but you get through it. So have you considered spraying Roundup around the edge of the pond, like precisely so you don't get it in the water?
I tried that last year, and she does not like the way that looks. She said, it's all brown, it's dead. I was like, it's supposed to be dead. I don't want to cut it no more. Like, I want it dead, you know? And but that doesn't fry her. She's like, no, I don't want a dead ring around the pond. You're going to have to weed it. So that's where we are right now.
And if you try to put the mower right up against the edge, you always run the risk of getting off and getting stuck, and then you got mud holes and ruts, and it's a big old mess.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, she's known for – I don't complain a whole lot because she does cut the grass with a zero-turning mower when I'm gone. But she has gotten too close to the pond once or twice, and as you've probably seen on social media, she can get off in there with the mower and everything. So I try to weed eat as much of it as I can to keep her away from the edge of the pond.
All right, let's talk some baseball. Our good friend Ben McDonald, college baseball analyst at ESPN, the SEC Network, and also TV analyst for the Baltimore Orioles. And this is a weird year in the SEC. Am I crazy for just characterizing it as strange and unique?
No, I think you're spot on, and I think it's strange from a couple of different angles. One, it's strange because you know, you take Tennessee out of the mix, and it's like who's who. You know, like one weekend, one team looks really good. The next weekend, they get swept, you know, and then they sweep somebody the following weekend. So it's hard to tell who's who. The other thing we knew going in, Richard, was the pitching was down across the board, and we felt like it was going to be an offensive year in the SEC. You couple that with a lot of the big-time injuries that we've seen across the board, not just in the SEC, but across all of college baseball. Runs are up. You know, we did a little thing in the last game this weekend. You know, run production in the SEC the first 15 games of the year last year versus the first 15 games of the year this year is up about 9%. That's a pretty good clip on runs being scored per game. I think there's a lot of different reasons for that. I think pitching is off a little bit. But I also think that and I said this the other day, and I said it a little bit last year too, is I feel like the BB core bats that they instituted, 12 years ago to slow the offense down a little bit is not the BB core bat today that they instituted 12 years ago. I feel like it's a different bat. I feel like it's a hotter bat. And I feel like balls, it almost feels like what it was before they introduced the BB core bat, because balls are just flying out of the ballpark. So I think there's a lot of different reasons why offense is up, across the landscape. And look, you talk about ERAs. I mean, I was digging through the numbers the other day. Ooh. Georgia is number 2 in the Eastern Division of the SEC, but their ERA in SEC play is over 7. So figured, I mean, you got an over 7 ERA in SEC play, and you're number 2 in the Eastern Division over there. You know, and so it's a crazy year across the board. Tennessee is putting up a crazy year. It's the best start that I'm aware of in the history of SEC play at 17-1. And look, it's nuts right now. You know, I feel like Arkansas is pretty good, but I also feel like it's one of those years, Richard, you take Tennessee out of it, like anybody could beat anybody on any given day and any given weekend. So that kind of makes it fun in some ways, but very difficult to figure out.
So Ben, you live in a state where LSU baseball matters a huge amount. And if things are not going well, the natives are restless. Mississippi's kind of like that as well. And Mississippi State, maybe a little bit different story because they're coming off of a national championship, and so maybe a little more grace, a little more leeway, and they seem to be playing better. Different story in Oxford, though, where it, looks like if things stand as they are, Ole Miss is not going to be in the postseason. You look at this thing, do you feel like you've got a clear understanding as to why these teams have struggled the way they have?
Well, I mean, just look at the numbers. I mean, we knew Ole Miss's pitching was going to be down a little bit. You lose Nikhazy and you lose Hoagland, and it's down a little bit. I think in some ways the pitching staff has underperformed. But when I look at Ole Miss now, I look at Ole Miss like I look at LSU, and I go, defensively, you guys have cost yourself some ball games. I could point. The LSU fans are going to hate me for saying this, Richard, but I'm going to be honest with you. I've been around this program for 35 years. When I played there and calling ball games since then, I have never seen a worse LSU defense than what I've seen this year. I mean, you're talking about a team that's fielding like 960 or something overall. Well, I look up and Ole Miss is in 13th place at 967. So I think a lot of Ole Miss's issues have been unearned runs, defensive plays that weren't made in big critical situations like it's been for LSU. And I've always loved Ole Miss's offense. Like I knew they were going to score runs, and they have. It's been a little bit of erratic at times, like it has for LSU with a big-time offense. But, man, you got to be able to pitch, and Ole Miss hadn't been able to pitch it a whole lot this year. It seems like when they have, they make some big errors in some big situations. And so for Ole Miss, it is a dogfight right now just to get into the SEC tournament. I mean, they're kind of sitting on the fringe right now. I think they're on the outside looking in the NCAA tournament. The good news for them, though, is they control their own destiny. It's not going to be an easy run, but they got Arkansas, Missouri, and, of course, LSU, and a very surprising A&M team there at the end. So they do control their own destiny. And I feel like it's in the tank for Ole Miss, just like I feel like it's in the tank for LSU, that they could get hot and they could clean the defense up a little bit, and they could really come around and make a run enough to get into the NCAA tournament.
What about Mississippi State? They've won the last 2 weekends, right? Pretty impressive home series win against Auburn. They come to Oxford last weekend. They get two close games. They got to go to Missouri this weekend. Not that it's an easy road for them down the stretch. They finished it out with Tennessee. They still got to play Texas A&M as well. But has Mississippi State, in your mind, turned the corner, Ben?
Well, I don't know that they've turned the corner. I feel like they're playing better right now, and they're in a part of their schedule, when you play Missouri. And look, anybody can beat you. And LSU swept Missouri this past weekend, but Missouri's one of those teams that you got to win 2 out of 3 against. And it's not a knock on Steve Beazer and his bunch, but it's a team that if you're looking to get in, and look, when's the last time Ole Miss and Mississippi State have both missed the NCAA tournament? I don't know when that's happened last, but there's a chance that could happen this year. I mean, you look at the RPI and where Ole Miss is in the RPI and where Mississippi State is in the RPI. They're down considerably, But, again, Mississippi State's a team that seems to be trending better at this point, and they do control their own destiny. It's not an easy road. It never is. But that's what's going to make the SEC tournament so much fun is that, when these teams get there, there's going to be a lot at stake. And Mississippi State may show up having to win at least 2 ball games to get in the NCAA tournament. Ole Miss may sneak in, and I think they do get in the SEC tournament, and they may have to, make a decent run to get into the NCAA tournament. So that's what's going to make the tournament so much fun.
I'm assuming that you know Scott Berry. He's your kind of guy.
I do. I love Scott Berry. He's one of my favorite people. I went down about 5 years ago and spoke at their first pitch banquet. He sent a little airplane down to get me. He said, well, we'll send the school plane down to get you to Baton Rouge, and we'll fly you back. I was like, perfect. So I got my wife to come. And, look, this thing showed up, and, look, they wheeled it out. One guy wheeled it out on like a dolly. It was so small. It was like an airplane that you're like, oh, my God. My wife said, I am not getting on that thing right there. I'm not. I was like, come on, Humber. So I had to go back inside and fix her like a whiskey drink. I was like, look, just drink this. We're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. And so we got in this airplane together. It was like being in a crop duster, like we can't even break the speed limit up in the air trying to get there, but we made it. Everything's great. But, no, I do love Scott Berry. I've been following that program. I don't know, what is it, like 16 straight wins now or something, They really bounced up in the rankings. They bounced up in the RPI. And D1 baseball has them as a top 8 national seed are right there at it, And so, look, good for Scott Berry and good for Southern Miss.
Where are we going to see you next?
Man, I'm heavy Orioles right now, and I leave tomorrow for 3 weeks. and going to tear up some Orioles stuff. And then when I get back, dude, it's the SEC tournament and it's the playoffs all the way through the NCAA tournament, the regionals, super regionals, and the College World Series. It'll be a full month of baseball for me, and I'm looking forward to getting my feet wet back into the college game, and seeing the playoffs. It's going to be a fun run starting in Hoover at the SEC tournament.
Can't wait to see you in Hoover, my friend. We'll talk to you.